What about growing that team then? I mean, if you're the sort of sole growth person, then when is it time to hire the second growth person? Are there any sort of thoughts you've got there?
Yeah. So I think about scaling a growth team as a cross-functional team of complementary skills. Typically, you don't have too many folks, maybe except for engineers with overlapping skill sets. So when I think about scaling a growth team and taking it from one lone wolf or one person who's kind of working on their own and scaling the team, I actually think about what complementary skill sets do I need to to increase the impact. And so to me, the first place to start is to grab a designer and an engineer. And I think that those are two great places to start if you just want to start executing more stuff. Typically, the engineer helps you build faster and execute things that you wouldn't be able to do on your own unless you also are an engineer, but most of us aren't. And on the designer side, what it will help you to do, obviously, is really focus on the user experience and to think through a few different creative ways of implementing a user experience that might solve the particular thing that you're focused on. And so I think that a small squad like that, a growth lead, designer, and an engineer is like a great place to start. And then as it scales, naturally, you're going to pull in maybe more engineers so you can do more stuff and execute a little bit faster or take on bigger swings and things like that. And maybe a little bit of a business intelligence person's time so they can help you on the reporting side because that becomes a little bit more of a need. Mm-hmm. And then I think the future state of a lot of companies that scale is that they have multiple growth pods. So eventually there'll be sort of one person leading growth, and then you have a few pods focused on acquisition, and maybe your growth marketer is kind of leading that team. You've got a different pod focused on activation, and you've got a growth PM working on that, and maybe another pod focused on converting free accounts or free users into paying customers. And you've got a different pod with a growth PM leading that team. So I think that that's kind of how it can evolve over time. And I've seen that system work really, really well.